When a hotel manager saw a man in workout clothes, she made a big mistake. She rushed over and yelled at him. "You're the new janitor. You're late. Go clean the meeting room now." Most people would have gotten angry, but this man just smiled and took the keys like it was no problem. 12-year-old Marcus watched from across the lobby, shocked. Who stays that calm when someone is mean to them? What Marcus didn't know? This janitor was Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player ever. And he had been looking for Marcus for 15 years. But why was Michael Jordan searching for one small boy? And what family secret was about to change everything? The morning sun streamed through the tall glass windows of the Pinnacle Hotel in Charlotte, North Carolina. Business people in fancy suits walked quickly across the shiny marble floor. Their shoes made clicking sounds that echoed through the big lobby. Everyone seemed to be in a hurry. Marcus Rivera sat alone on a soft brown leather chair near the front desk. His small hands held a wrinkled piece of paper. The words, "Basketball tryouts today, 3 p.m., were printed at the top in bold letters. He had read those words at least 20 times already. At 12 years old, Marcus was smaller than most kids his age. His dark hair fell into his eyes, and his basketball shoes looked too big for his feet. He wore his favorite Lakers jersey, even though some kids at school made fun of him for it. They said he was too short to like basketball. "You'll never make the team, Rivera," Tommy Henderson had laughed yesterday. "My dad's the coach, and he only picks tall kids." Marcus tried not to think about Tommy's words, but they kept bouncing around in his head like a basketball that wouldn't stop dribbling. His mom, Rosa, worked as a housekeeper at the Pinnacle Hotel. She cleaned rooms on the upper floors and always told Marcus to wait quietly in the lobby until her shift ended. Marcus didn't mind waiting. The lobby was warm, and he could watch all the interesting people who came and went. Today felt different, though. Today was try-out day, and his stomach felt like it was full of jumping beans. The front door opened, and a man walked in from the side entrance. He wasn't dressed like the other hotel guests. Instead of a suit, he wore simple gray sweatpants and a plain white t-shirt. A black baseball cap sat low on his head, hiding most of his face. He carried a worn gym bag over his shoulder. The man was tall and moved with quiet confidence. Something about the way he walked reminded Marcus of the basketball players he watched on TV. But this couldn't be anyone famous. Famous people didn't use side entrances or dress in old workout clothes. Marcus watched as the man stopped near the elevator and checked his phone. He seemed calm and peaceful, unlike everyone else who was rushing around. Suddenly, the sound of high heels clicking rapidly across the marble floor broke the morning quiet. Patricia Whitmore, the hotel manager, came speed-walking across the lobby. Her face looked red and stressed. Her usually perfect hair had pieces sticking out in different directions. Patricia was having the worst morning of her life. The coffee machine in the executive meeting room was broken. 3 important business clients were arriving in less than an hour for a huge meeting. And now, the new janitor was late on his first day. She spotted the man in workout clothes and marched straight toward him. She didn't look at his face carefully. She just saw someone who wasn't dressed like a guest, and her stressed brain made a quick decision. "Excuse me," Patricia called out, her voice sharp and impatient. "Are you the new janitor?" The man turned around, surprise flickering across his face. "I'm sorry, what?" "Don't play dumb with me," Patricia snapped. "You're 30 minutes late. I specifically told the cleaning company that today was important." We have VIP guests arriving soon, and the third-floor meeting room is a disaster." Marcus sat up straighter in his chair. He could see the conversation from across the lobby, and something about it didn't feel right. The hotel manager was being really rude to this stranger. The man in the baseball cap looked confused. "I think there might be some mistake." "The only mistake is hiring someone who can't show up on time," Patricia interrupted. She reached into her jacket pocket and pulled out a set of silver keys. "These are for the supply closet on the third floor. The meeting room is 3B. I need it spotless in the next 45 minutes. Can you handle that? Or do I need to call your supervisor?" Marcus watched the man's face carefully. Instead of getting angry like most people would, the man's expression stayed calm. He looked at the keys in Patricia's outstretched hand, then glanced around the lobby. His eyes met Marcus's for just a moment. There was something in that look that Marcus couldn't understand. It wasn't embarrassment or anger. It was almost like the man was thinking about something important. "The third floor?" the man asked quietly. "Yes, the third floor. Room 3B. The supplies are in the closet marked housekeeping." Patricia thrust the keys forward impatiently. "And please hurry. These clients are very important to our hotel." The man reached out and took the keys. The metal jingled softly in his large hand. "I understand," he said simply. Patricia let out a frustrated sigh. "Good. And next time, please, arrive on time. Professional appearance matters too. We'll discuss proper work uniforms later." She turned and clicked away on her high heels, already pulling out her phone to handle the next crisis on her list. Marcus stared at the man, who was now looking down at the keys with a small smile on his face. This whole situation felt strange. The man didn't seem upset about being yelled at. He didn't seem embarrassed about being mistaken for a janitor. He just seemed thoughtful. The man walked toward the elevator and pressed the button. While he waited, he glanced back at Marcus again. This time Marcus noticed something he hadn't seen before. The man's eyes were kind, but they also looked familiar somehow. "Excuse me," Marcus called out, surprising himself with his own boldness. The man turned around. "Yes? Are you really a janitor?" Marcus asked. The elevator doors opened with a soft ding. The man stepped inside but held the door open with his hand. "What do you think?" he asked with a gentle smile. Before Marcus could answer, the man let the elevator doors close. Marcus sat back in his chair, more confused than ever. Something about this whole situation didn't make sense. He looked down at his tryout flyer again. The jumping bean feeling in his stomach was still there, but now it was mixed with curiosity. Who was that man? Why had he taken the keys without arguing? And why did Marcus feel like he'd seen those eyes somewhere before? The lobby returned to its normal busy rhythm. People walked back and forth, phones rang at the front desk, and the morning sun continued to stream through the tall windows. But Marcus couldn't stop thinking about the mysterious man who had just been mistaken for a janitor. Something told him this was just the beginning of a very interesting day. Marcus couldn't sit still. His mind kept going back to the man in the baseball cap. Most people would have gotten angry when Patricia yelled at them. Most people would have said, "I'm not a janitor," right away. But this man had done something different. He had listened calmly and taken the keys. Why would anyone do that? Marcus folded his tryout flyer and put it in his pocket. He had been sitting in this lobby chair for almost an hour, and his legs felt restless. His mom wouldn't be done with work for another 30 minutes. Maybe he could walk around the hotel a little bit. He stood up and looked toward the elevators. The numbers above the doors showed that one elevator had stopped on the 3rd floor. That had to be where the mysterious man went. Marcus knew he probably shouldn't follow a stranger. His mom had taught him to be careful around people he didn't know. But something about this man felt safe. Maybe it was the way he had smiled, or the kindness Marcus had seen in his eyes. Before he could change his mind, Marcus walked to the elevator and pressed the up button. The elevator ride to the 3rd floor felt like it took forever. Marcus's heart was beating fast, but not from fear. He was curious in a way he had never felt before. When the doors opened, Marcus stepped into a long hallway with thick carpet and fancy wallpaper. He could hear the sound of someone moving around in one of the rooms. Following the sound, he walked quietly down the hall until he found room 3B. The door was open. Marcus peeked around the corner and saw something that surprised him. The man was indeed cleaning the meeting room, but he wasn't rushing or complaining. He moved around the long table, with careful attention straightening each chair perfectly. He wiped down the table's shiny surface with smooth, even strokes. But what surprised Marcus most was the man's face. He looked peaceful, almost happy. Like cleaning this room was something he actually wanted to do. "You can come in," the man said without looking up. "I know you're there." Marcus jumped a little. "How did you know?" The man smiled and gestured to a chair. "I have good hearing. Plus, I saw you watching me. Downstairs, you looked like you had questions." Marcus stepped into the room slowly. It was a big conference room with a huge wooden table and leather chairs all around it. Large windows showed the city of Charlotte stretching out below. "I do have questions," Marcus admitted. "Like, why didn't you tell that lady she made a mistake? You're not really a janitor, are you?" The man continued wiping down the table. "What makes you think I'm not a janitor?" "Well," Marcus thought about it, "you don't seem upset about cleaning. Most people would be mad if someone yelled at them like that lady did." "Her name is Patricia," the man said, "and she's having a stressful morning. Sometimes when people are stressed, they don't act like their best selves." Marcus sat down in one of the big leather chairs. It spun around, which made him smile a little. "But you still didn't answer my question," Marcus said. "Are you really a janitor?" The man stopped cleaning and looked at Marcus directly. "Let me ask you something first. What's wrong with being a janitor?" Marcus thought about that. "Nothing, I guess. It's just people sometimes treat janitors like they're not important." "Exactly," the man said. "But all honest work is important. The person who cleans this room makes it possible for business meetings to happen. The person who keeps a school clean makes it possible for kids to learn. Every job matters." Marcus had never thought about it that way before. He watched as the man finished with the table and started arranging papers and water glasses for the meeting. "You seem sad about something," the man observed. "Want to talk about it?" Marcus felt his cheeks get warm. He wasn't used to adults asking about his feelings. "It's nothing, really. Just stuff at school." "School stuff can be the hardest stuff of all," the man said gently. "What kind of school?" "Stuff?" Marcus pulled the tryout flyer from his pocket and smoothed it out on the table. "Basketball. Tryouts are today. I really want to make the team, but everyone says I'm too small." The man looked at the flyer. "Everyone says that, huh?" "Well, not everyone. But the coach's son, Tommy, he said his dad only picks tall kids, and the other kids laugh when I try to shoot the ball." Marcus's voice got quieter. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am too small. The man sat down in the chair next to Marcus. Can I tell you a story? Marcus nodded. When I was 15 years old, I tried out for my high school basketball team. I was pretty good, or at least I thought I was. But you know what happened? What? I got cut. The coach said I wasn't good enough. He said I needed to grow more and practice more. The man's eyes looked far away, like he was remembering. I went home and cried. I felt like my dreams were over. Marcus couldn't believe it. Really? You got cut from your team? Yep. It was one of the worst days of my life. But you know what I did the next day? What? I went to the gym and practiced. And the day after that, I practiced again. And the day after that, too. I practiced every single day until the next tryouts came around. Did you make the team the next year? The man smiled. I did. And you know what I learned? Getting cut was the best thing that ever happened to me. It taught me that I had to work harder than everyone else. It taught me that being told no doesn't mean never. It just means not yet. Marcus felt something warm growing in his chest. It was hope, but it was different from the hope he'd felt before. This felt stronger. But what if I'm really too small? Marcus asked. What if I practice and still don't make it? The man leaned forward. Then you keep practicing. You see, being great at basketball isn't really about being tall. It's about heart. It's about never giving up. It's about making your teammates better. Some of the greatest players in history weren't the tallest guys on the court. Really? Really. There was this player named Muggsy Bogues. He was only 5 feet 3 inches tall. That's shorter than most middle school kids, but he played in the NBA for 14 years because he had something more important than height. What did he have? Heart, determination, and the belief that he belonged on that court, no matter what anyone else said. The man reached over and straightened the tryout flyer on the table. Can I see you dribble? Marcus looked around the room. Here, but I don't have a ball. The man smiled and walked over to the trash can. He pulled out a piece of crumpled paper and rolled it into a tight ball. Sometimes you work with what you have. He tossed the paper ball to Marcus, who caught it awkwardly. Now show me your dribbling form. Pretend this is a real basketball. Marcus felt silly at first, but something about the man's encouraging smile made him try. He began bouncing the paper ball on the carpet, pretending it was a real basketball on a real court. Good, the man said, but keep your head up. You need to see the court, not just the ball, and use your fingertips, not your palm. Marcus tried to follow the advice. It felt strange, but somehow better. Now show me your shooting form. Aim for that picture on the EHDU wall. Marcus held the paper ball like a basketball and aimed at a framed picture of the Charlotte skyline. He remembered what he'd seen players do on TV. Elbow under the ball, follow through with the wrist. The paper ball flew through the air and hit the picture frame perfectly. Nice shot, the man said. See that follow through? That's exactly right. And the way you kept your elbow lined up? Perfect. Marcus felt pride swelling in his chest. No one had ever complimented his basketball form before. The most important thing, the man continued, is to believe in yourself. When you walk into those tryouts today, don't think about being the smallest guy there. Think about being the guy with the biggest heart. They heard footsteps in the hallway. Patricia's voice carried from somewhere nearby. talking quickly on her phone about the important meeting. "I should probably get back to work," the man said, "and you should probably get back downstairs before someone worries about where you went." Marcus stood up, but he didn't want to leave. This conversation had made him feel different inside, stronger somehow. "Will I see you again?" Marcus asked. The man picked up his cleaning cloth. "Maybe. This is a big hotel. You never know who you might run into." "I don't even know your name," Marcus realized. The man paused at the doorway. "What's your name?" "Marcus Rivera." "Well, Marcus Rivera, it was nice meeting you. Good luck at your tryouts today. Remember what we talked about." "But what's your name?" Marcus called after him. The man was already walking down the hallway, pushing a cleaning cart he'd gotten from somewhere. "Just call me a friend," he called back. Marcus stood in the empty meeting room for a moment, looking at the perfectly arranged table and chairs. Everything was spotless and ready for the important business meeting. But more importantly, Marcus felt ready too. Ready for his tryouts. Ready to show everyone that heart mattered more than height. He walked back toward the elevator, his mind buzzing with everything the mysterious man had told him. For the first time in weeks, Marcus actually believed he might have a chance to make the basketball team. The elevator doors opened and Marcus stepped inside. As the floors counted down toward the lobby, he practiced his shooting form one more time, remembering the man's advice about follow-through and keeping his elbow lined up. When the elevator reached the lobby, Marcus walked back to his chair, with his head held higher than before. The tryout flyer in his pocket didn't feel like a burden anymore. It felt like a possibility. He still didn't know who the mysterious janitor really was, but somehow that didn't matter as much anymore. What mattered was the confidence that had been planted in his heart, and the belief that maybe, just maybe, he really could make the team. Marcus sat in the lobby chair, but he felt completely different than he had an hour ago. The nervous energy in his stomach was still there, but now it felt more like excitement than fear. He kept thinking about what the man had said about heart being more important than height. The elevator dinged, and Patricia stepped out, looking much calmer than before. She walked toward the front desk, but stopped when she noticed something. "Excuse me," she called to Marcus. "Have you seen the janitor who was here earlier? The one in the baseball cap?" Marcus pointed toward the elevator. "He's upstairs cleaning the meeting room. Room 3B. Patricia nodded and headed back to the elevator. Marcus watched the numbers light up as she rode to the third floor. Something told him he should go see what happened next. A few minutes later, the elevator returned and Patricia stepped out with a confused expression. On her face, she walked to the front desk and picked up the phone. "This is Patricia," she said into the phone. "Can you check on the janitor we hired for today?" "Yes, I'll hold." Marcus pretended to read a hotel magazine, but he was really listening to Patricia's conversation. "What? Do you mean no janitor was scheduled for today?" Patricia said, her voice getting higher. "But there's someone upstairs right now." "Yes, I'm sure." "Okay, thank you." She hung up the phone and stood there for a moment, looking puzzled. Then she hurried back to the elevator. Marcus's curiosity was too strong to ignore. He got up and followed Patricia to the elevator, arriving just as the doors were closing. Through the gap, he could see her pressing the button for the third floor again. When the next elevator arrived, Marcus got in and pressed the same button. He knew he was being nosy, but he had to know what was happening. The elevator doors opened on the third floor, and Marcus could hear voices coming from room 3B. He walked quietly down the hallway and stopped just outside the door. "I have to ask," Patricia was saying, "who exactly are you? Our cleaning company says they didn't send anyone today." "I'm just someone who was here and saw that you needed help," came the familiar calm voice. "But the room is perfect," Patricia said, and Marcus could hear the amazement in her voice. "Better than our regular cleaning crew usually does, and you arranged everything exactly right for the meeting." Marcus peeked around the door frame. The man was putting the last of the cleaning supplies back in the cart. The meeting room looked incredible. Every chair was perfectly positioned. The table gleamed, and fresh water glasses sparkled at each seat. "I've done this kind of work before," the man said simply. Patricia walked around the table, examining everything. "This is professional quality work, and the way you arrange the presentation materials, it's like you understand how business meetings should be set up." She paused and really looked at the man for the first time. Marcus could see her taking in details she had missed before. The expensive watch on his wrist, the confident way he moved, the quality of his shoes, even though they were workout shoes. "There's something I need to tell you," Patricia said slowly. "I was very rude to you downstairs. I was stressed about this meeting, but that's no excuse for how I treated you. I'm sorry." The man smiled. "Apology accepted. We all have bad mornings sometimes." "But I still don't understand. If you're not a janitor, why did you clean the room? Why didn't you just tell me I made a mistake?" The man looked thoughtful. "Sometimes people see what they expect to see. You saw someone in workout clothes and assumed I was the janitor. That's not necessarily wrong. It's just incomplete." "What do you mean?" "Well, I could be a janitor who also happens to be other things, or I could be someone else who knows how to clean. Why does it matter what my job title is? The room needed to be cleaned, and now it's clean." Patricia shook her head in wonder. "I've never met anyone like you. Most people would have been angry. They would have corrected me right away." "Being angry wouldn't have helped your meeting happen on time," the man pointed out, "and correcting you might have made you feel embarrassed. Sometimes it's better to just help." Marcus felt his respect for this mysterious man growing even more. Not only had he been kind and encouraging, but he had also shown incredible grace to Patricia. "Can I ask you something?" Patricia said. "Of course." "There was a boy with you earlier, in the lobby. He seemed different after talking to you. Happier, somehow." The man's face lit up. "Marcus. He's a good kid. He's got some challenges ahead of him today, but I think he's going to do fine." "What kind of challenges?" "Basketball tryouts. He's worried about being too small for the team." Patricia's expression softened. "Oh, that's Rosa's son. She's one of our housekeepers. Single mother, works very hard. Marcus is usually so quiet when he waits for her in the lobby. But today, he seemed more confident." "He just needed someone to believe in him," the man said. "All kids do." Just then, Marcus heard the sound of another elevator opening. Footsteps came down the hallway, and he heard his mother's voice calling his name. "Marcus? Mijo, where are you?" Marcus panicked. He wasn't supposed to be on the third floor. He quickly walked toward his mother's voice, trying to look casual. "I'm here, Mom," he called, appearing around the corner near the elevators. Rosa Rivera looked tired but smiled when she saw her son. She was a small woman with kind eyes and hands that showed the hard work she did every day. Her housekeeper uniform was neat and clean, and she carried a set of master keys. "What are you doing up here, Marcus? You know you're supposed to wait in the lobby." I was curious about the hotel, Marcus said, which wasn't exactly a lie. Rosa shook her head, but smiled. Curious like your father, she said softly in Spanish, then switched back to English. Come on, my shift is almost over. We need to get you home so you can get ready for your tryouts. As they walked toward the elevator, they passed room 3B. The door was still open, and Rosa glanced inside. She saw Patricia talking to the man in the baseball cap. Oh, Rosa said, stopping. I'm sorry. I didn't know there was a meeting happening. Patricia turned around. Rosa, perfect timing. I'd like you to meet… Actually, I don't think I ever got your name, she said to the man. You can just call me Mike, he said with a smile. Rosa looked at Mike with curiosity. There was something about him that seemed familiar, but she couldn't place it. Mike helped us out today, Patricia explained. There was a mix-up with our cleaning schedule, and he stepped in to help prepare this room for an important meeting. That was very kind of you, Rosa said to Mike. Then she looked around the room and her eyes widened. This is beautiful work. Better than, well, very professional. Mike smiled at the compliment. I learned from someone who took pride in doing things right. Rosa tilted her head, studying Mike's face. Something about his voice, his manner, seemed so familiar. But before she could think about it more, Marcus tugged on her sleeve. Mom, this is the man I was telling you about. The one who gave me advice about basketball. Rosa's expression changed to one of concern, mixed with gratitude. You talked to my son about basketball? We had a nice conversation, Mike said. He's a good kid with a lot of potential. You should be proud of him. I am proud of him, Rosa said, putting her arm around Marcus. But I hope he wasn't bothering you. Sometimes he can be shy, but when he gets excited about basketball… He wasn't bothering me at all, Mike assured her. In fact, talking with him was the best part of my morning. Marcus felt his cheeks warm with pride. This amazing man thought talking to him was the best part of his morning. Well, thank you for being kind to him, Rosa said. Not everyone takes time to listen to children. Everyone deserves to have someone believe in them, Mike said, echoing what he had told Patricia earlier. Rosa smiled at that. You sound like someone who understands children. I've learned a few things over the years, Mike said mysteriously. Patricia looked at her watch. Oh no, the clients will be here in 15 minutes. I should get downstairs to greet them. And we should get going too, Rosa said to Marcus. You have tryouts in a few hours, and you need to eat lunch first. As they walked toward the elevator, Marcus turned back to look at Mike one more time. Thank you, he called out, for everything. Mike waved. Remember what we talked about. Believe in yourself. The elevator doors closed, and Marcus found himself alone with his mother for the first time since his conversation with Mike. He seems like a very nice man, Rosa said thoughtfully. There was something about him. Something special. Yeah, Marcus agreed. He told me about getting cut from his basketball team when he was young, and he said that heart matters more than height. Rosa looked at her son with surprise. He told you about getting cut from his team? Yeah. He said it was the best thing that ever happened to him because it taught him to work harder. Rosa was quiet for a moment. You know, your father used to say something similar. He always said that the biggest challenges can become the biggest blessings if you don't give up. Marcus felt a warm feeling in his chest at the mention of his father. He didn't remember much about him, but he loved hearing his mother's stories. Do you think I have a chance today, Mom? Marcus asked as they reached the lobby. Rosa stopped walking and knelt down so she was at eye level with her son. "Mijo, I think you have more than a chance. I think you have something that can't be taught. You have heart. And that man upstairs, he saw it too." They walked out of the hotel together, but Marcus couldn't stop thinking about Mike. There had been something in the man's eyes when he talked about basketball, something that suggested he knew more about the game than he was letting on. But Marcus didn't have time to figure it out now. He had a basketball team to make. As they got into Rosa's old car, Marcus looked back at the Pinnacle Hotel one more time. Somewhere in there, a mysterious man named Mike was probably finishing up his work in the meeting room. A man who had taken time to encourage a kid he'd never met before. A man who had shown kindness when others showed rudeness. Marcus didn't know if he'd ever see Mike again, but he knew he'd never forget the conversation they'd had, or the confidence that conversation had given him. "Ready to go, show them what you're made of?" Rosa asked as she started the car. Marcus smiled, remembering Mike's words about heart being more important than height. "Yeah, Mom, I'm ready." That evening, Marcus couldn't sit still. He had eaten dinner with his mom, but his mind kept going back to his conversation with Mike. Every few minutes, he would practice his shooting form in his bedroom, using a pair of rolled-up socks as a basketball. "Remember," he whispered to himself, copying Mike's voice, "keep your elbow lined up. Use your fingertips, not your palm." He aimed at the small basketball hoop his mom had hung on his closet door 2 years ago for his birthday. The sock ball flew through the air and swished through the hoop perfectly. "Yes," Marcus whispered, pumping his fist. Rosa appeared in his doorway, smiling. "You seem different tonight, mijo. More confident." Marcus caught the sock ball as it bounced off his dresser. "That man at the hotel, Mike, he really helped me understand some things about basketball and about believing in myself." "What kind of things?" Rosa asked, sitting on the edge of his bed. Marcus sat down next to her. "He told me about getting cut from his high school team. He said it taught him that being told no doesn't mean never. It just means not yet." Rosa's eyes softened. "That sounds like something your father would have said." "Really? Your father was always getting back up after being knocked down. When we first came to this country, he worked 3 jobs. People told him he wasn't smart enough to learn English well. They said he would always just do simple work." Rosa's voice got quiet with memory. "But he never gave up. He studied English every night after work. He dreamed of better things for our family." Marcus had heard some stories about his father, but not many. Rosa usually got too sad when she talked about him. "What happened to him, Mom? I mean, I know he died in a car accident, but what was he really like?" Rosa was quiet for a long moment. "He was like you, Marcus, small but determined. He had the biggest heart of anyone I ever knew, and he loved basketball." "Dad played basketball?" "Not professionally, but he loved the game. He used to say that basketball taught him about life, about teamwork, about never giving up, about making something beautiful happen even when everything seems impossible." Marcus felt a warm feeling spread through his chest. He had never known his father shared his love of basketball. "I wish I could have met him," Marcus said quietly. "You are so much like him, mijo. Sometimes, when I watch you practice in here, I see him." Rosa kissed the top of Marcus's head. "He would be so proud of the young man you're becoming." Meanwhile, back at the Pinnacle Hotel, Patricia sat in her office staring at her computer screen. She couldn't stop thinking about the mysterious man who had helped her that morning. Something about the whole situation didn't make sense. She pulled up the hotel's security footage from that morning and watched the lobby cameras. There was Marcus sitting in his usual chair. There were the business guests rushing back and forth, and there was the man in the baseball cap entering through the side door. Patricia zoomed in on the footage, trying to get a better look at his face. The baseball cap hid most of his features, but something about his walk, his height, the way he carried himself, seemed familiar. She rewound the footage and watched it again. This time she noticed something she had missed before. When the man turned to look at Marcus, the camera caught a partial view of his profile. Patricia's heart skipped a beat. She paused the video and stared at the screen. That jawline, that confident posture, it couldn't be. She opened a new browser window and searched Michael Jordan Charlotte. Dozens of photos appeared on her screen. Patricia compared them to the frozen image from the security footage. The resemblance was unmistakable. "Oh my God," Patricia whispered to her empty office. "What have I done?" She had mistaken Michael Jordan, the Michael Jordan, for a janitor. She had yelled at him, been rude to him, and treated him like an employee who was late for work. But then Patricia remembered something else. Instead of correcting her, instead of being angry or embarrassed, Michael Jordan had simply taken the keys and cleaned the room. He had done it perfectly, professionally, and with a smile. And he had spent time encouraging a young boy who needed confidence. Patricia sat back in her chair, amazed. She had met celebrities before. The hotel hosted many famous guests. Most of them demanded special treatment, complained about small problems, and expected everyone to recognize them immediately. But Michael Jordan had done the opposite. When, mistaken for a janitor, he had simply become the best janitor he could be. Patricia picked up her phone to call the hotel's general manager, then stopped. What was she going to say? That she had accidentally assigned one of the greatest basketball players of all time to clean a meeting room? But more importantly, she realized that Michael Jordan had clearly not wanted to be recognized. He had come in through the side entrance, dressed casually, wearing a cap that hid his face. He was obviously trying to keep a low profile. And when, given the chance to reveal who he was, he had chosen not to. He had chosen to help instead. Patricia made a decision. She would keep this information to herself for now. But she was also intensely curious about why Michael Jordan had been at their hotel in the first place. At Roosevelt Middle School, Marcus's friend Emma Chen was packing her backpack for the next day. She had been thinking about Marcus all evening. Usually, he seemed nervous and quiet before big events like tryouts. But today at lunch, he had seemed different. "I think I actually have a chance," Marcus had told her. "Someone helped me realize that heart matters more than height." Emma was curious about who had given Marcus this advice. She had never seen him so confident about basketball before. Marcus was a good friend, kind, loyal, and funny, but he had always doubted himself when it came to sports. Tomorrow would be interesting. Emma planned to stay after school to watch the tryouts. She wanted to support Marcus, but she was also curious to see if his new confidence would show up on the basketball court. Back at Marcus's house, Rosa was washing dishes and thinking about her conversation with her son. Hearing Marcus talk about the man from the hotel had brought back so many memories of her husband, Roberto. Roberto had worked as a night janitor at several office buildings in Charlotte. He had always taken pride in his work, no matter how simple others thought it was. Honest work is honorable. Work, he used to say. But Roberto had also been a dreamer. He had talked about saving money to start his own cleaning business someday. He had wanted to give Marcus opportunities he had never had. Rosa dried a plate and put it in the cabinet. Roberto had been gone for 9 years now, but she still missed him every day. She wished he could see Marcus now, growing up to be such a good young man. Something about the man at the hotel had reminded her of Roberto's gentle strength. The way he had listened to Marcus, the way he had encouraged him without making empty promises. Roberto had been like that, wise and kind. Rosa made a mental note to thank the man if she saw him at the hotel again. It wasn't often that someone took time to really listen to Marcus and give him meaningful advice. In his bedroom, Marcus was lying in bed, but not sleeping. He kept thinking about his conversation with Mike and about what his mom had told him about his father. For the first time, he felt connected to his dad in a way he never had before. They both loved basketball. They both had been told they weren't good enough. They both had refused to give up on their dreams. Marcus looked at the tryout flyer on his nightstand. Tomorrow at 3:00 p.m., he would walk into that gym and show Coach Henderson what he was made of. He would remember Mike's advice about heart being more important than height. He would remember his father's example of never giving up. And for the first time since he had gotten the tryout flyer, Marcus felt truly excited instead of nervous. He practiced his shooting form one more time in the dark, imagining the gym full of kids who were bigger and stronger than him. But now, instead of feeling scared, he felt ready. Heart over height, he whispered to himself. Heart over height. Tomorrow would be the biggest day of his young life, and thanks to a mysterious man named Mike, Marcus finally believed he was ready for it. The next morning, Marcus woke up before his alarm clock. Sunlight streamed through his bedroom window, and for the first time in weeks, he felt excited about the day ahead. Today was tryout day. He got dressed carefully, putting on his favorite basketball shorts and the Lakers jersey that usually made him feel self-conscious. Today, it made him feel brave. At breakfast, Rosa noticed the change in her son immediately. "You look different this morning, Mijo. More confident." Marcus smiled as he ate his cereal. "I keep thinking about what Mike said, about heart being more important than height, and about what you told me about Dad. Your father would be so proud of you today," Rosa said, packing his lunch. "Remember, no matter what happens at tryouts, you are already a winner in my eyes." "Thanks, Mom, but I think today might be different. I feel different." At school, Marcus's confidence was obvious to everyone. During math class, when Tommy Henderson whispered, "Hope you're ready to get embarrassed at tryouts, Rivera," Marcus just smiled. "We'll see," Marcus said calmly, which surprised Tommy so much that he stopped talking. Emma Chen noticed the change, too. At lunch, Marcus actually ate his sandwich instead of just picking at it nervously. "You really are different," Emma said. "What exactly did this man at the hotel tell you?" Marcus thought about how to explain it. "He helped me understand that getting cut from a team doesn't mean you're not good enough. It just means you're not ready yet. And if you keep working, not yet can become yes." "That's really smart," Emma said. "I can't wait to watch you play today." Meanwhile, back at the Pinnacle Hotel, Patricia was having a very strange morning. She had barely slept, thinking about her discovery that Mike was actually Michael Jordan. She kept replaying the events from yesterday, amazed by what had happened. Around 10 a.m., She was checking the schedule for meeting rooms when something caught her eye. A reservation had been made for the small conference room on the second floor. The name on the reservation was M. Jordan, Jordan Brand Foundation. Patricia's heart started beating faster. Michael Jordan was coming back to the hotel today, this time officially. She quickly called the front desk. When Mr. Jordan arrives for his 2 p.m. meeting, please let me know immediately, and make sure he receives our VIP treatment. Patricia spent the next few hours making sure everything was perfect. She had the meeting room cleaned again, arranged for fresh flowers, and made sure the best coffee and snacks would be available. But she couldn't stop wondering, would Michael Jordan remember her from yesterday? Would he be angry about how she had treated him? At 1:30 p.m., Marcus was in his last class of the day, trying to focus on English but thinking about basketball. Tryouts started at 3 p.m., which meant he had just over an hour to get mentally ready. His teacher, Mrs. Williams, was talking about a book they were reading, but Marcus's mind kept drifting to Mike's advice. It's not about being the biggest or the strongest. It's about heart. The school bell rang, and Marcus gathered his things. Emma walked with him toward his locker. "Are you nervous?" she asked. "A little," Marcus admitted, "but it's a good nervous, like I'm excited to show what I can do instead of scared that I'll mess up." "That's a big difference," Emma agreed. Marcus got his basketball shoes from his locker and headed toward the gym. But first, he had to stop by the front office. His mom was picking him up early so they could go home and he could change into his tryout clothes. When Marcus walked outside, he saw his mom's car in the parking lot. But there was something unusual happening. Rosa was standing next to the car, talking to someone. As Marcus got closer, his heart jumped. It was Mike. Marcus ran toward them, his backpack bouncing with each step. "Mike, what are you doing here?" Mike smiled that same warm smile from yesterday. "I was hoping to catch you before your tryouts. I wanted to see how you were feeling." "I feel great," Marcus said, and he meant it. "I've been practicing everything you taught me." "Well, not with a real basketball, but with socks and stuff." Rosa was watching this interaction with growing curiosity. Yesterday at the hotel, she had felt like there was something special about this man. Now, seeing him take time out of his day to check on Marcus, she was even more intrigued. "You came all the way to Marcus's school just to wish him luck?" Rosa asked. Mike looked a little embarrassed. "I was actually in the area for a business meeting. But yes, I wanted to see how Marcus was doing." Marcus noticed that Mike was dressed differently today. Instead of workout clothes, he wore a nice suit and tie. He looked important, like a businessman or maybe even someone famous. But he was still the same kind person who had believed in Marcus. "You look fancy today," Marcus said. Mike laughed. "I have a meeting at the hotel where your mom works, some business stuff. But that's not important. What's important is how you're feeling about tryouts." "I'm ready," Marcus said with confidence that surprised even him. "I keep remembering what you said about heart being more important than height. And my mom told me my dad used to love basketball, too." Mike's expression changed slightly when Marcus mentioned his father. Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe, or recognition. But it happened so quickly that Marcus almost missed it. "Your father loved basketball?" Mike asked Rosa. "Yes," Rosa said. "Roberto was always talking about the game. He said it taught him about life, about never giving up." She paused, looking at Mike carefully. "Sometimes when you talk, you remind me of him, the way you encourage Marcus, the wisdom you share." Mike was quiet for a moment. Roberto sounds like he was a good man. He was the best man, Rosa said softly. He would have loved meeting you. He would have appreciated someone who takes time to believe in his son. Marcus looked back and forth between Mike and his mother. There was something happening in this conversation that he didn't quite understand. Mike seemed to be thinking about something important. "What did your father do for work?" Mike asked, his voice gentle. "He was a janitor," Rosa said proudly. "He cleaned office buildings at night. People sometimes treated him like his work wasn't important, but Roberto always said that honest work was honorable work." Mike nodded, slowly. He was absolutely right about that. Marcus checked the time on his phone. "Mom, we should probably get going. I want to get home and change before tryouts." "Of course, mijo." Rosa turned to Mike. "Thank you again for taking time to encourage Marcus. It means more than you know." "It means a lot to me, too," Mike said. "More than you might realize." As they were about to get in the car, Mike called out, "Marcus, wait a second." Marcus turned around. Mike reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out something. It was a brand new basketball, still in its wrapper. But this wasn't just any basketball. Marcus could see the logo on it. It was a professional quality ball, the kind they used in real games. "I thought you might like to have a real basketball to practice with," Mike said, handing it to Marcus. Marcus's eyes went wide. "Are you serious? This is for me?" "It's for you, but there's one condition." "What?" Mike knelt down so he was at Marcus's eye level. "Promise me that no matter what happens at a tryouts today, you'll keep practicing. Promise me you'll never give up on your dreams." "I promise," Marcus said, clutching the basketball to his chest. "And promise me something else. Promise me you'll always remember that being great isn't about being the best. It's about being better than you were yesterday." Marcus nodded, feeling tears in his eyes. "I promise that too." Mike stood up and shook hands with Rosa. "It was wonderful meeting both of you. Marcus is a special young man. You should be very proud." "I am," Rosa said, "and thank you. This kindness, it's something Marcus will remember forever." As Mike walked toward his own car, Marcus called out one more time, "Mike, will I see you again?" Mike paused and smiled mysteriously. "You never know, Marcus. The world is smaller than you. Think." Marcus and Rosa got in their car and drove away. But Marcus couldn't stop looking at the basketball in his hands. It was perfect, the right weight, the right texture, even the right smell of new leather. "That man is very special," Rosa said as they drove home. "There's something about him, something that reminds me so much of your father." Marcus was too excited about the basketball to think deeply about what his mother meant. But somewhere in the back of his mind, he was starting to wonder about Mike. Who was he really? Why did he care so much about a kid he had just met? And why did he seem to know so much about basketball and about life? Those questions would have to wait, though. Right now, Marcus had the most important tryout of his life to get ready for. And thanks to Mike's encouragement and this perfect basketball, he felt more ready than ever. "Heart over height," Marcus whispered to himself as they pulled into their driveway. "Heart over height." Marcus ran inside his house, carrying the new basketball like it was made of gold. Rosa followed behind him, shaking her head with a smile. She had never seen her son so excited about anything. 15 minutes to change clothes and eat a snack, Rosa called after him. Then we go back to school. In his bedroom, Marcus carefully placed the basketball on his desk and stared at it. The leather was perfect, and when he spun it, it balanced beautifully. This wasn't a cheap basketball from a discount store. This was the real thing. He changed into his best basketball shorts and a clean t-shirt. When he looked in the mirror, he saw something different. The same small 12-year-old boy was looking back at him, but his eyes looked braver somehow. "You can do this," he said to his reflection. "Heart over height." Rosa was waiting in the kitchen with a banana and a bottle of water. "Eat this, mijo. You need energy for tryouts." Marcus ate quickly, his mind already at the school gym. "Mom, do you think Mike will come watch?" "I don't." "No, but it doesn't matter. You have everything you need right here." Rosa pointed to Marcus's chest. "In your heart." They drove back to Roosevelt Middle School in comfortable silence. Marcus bounced the new basketball gently on his lap, getting used to the feel of it. When they pulled into the school parking lot, Marcus could see other kids walking toward the gym carrying their own basketballs and water bottles. Some of the boys were much taller than Marcus. Some looked like they had been playing a basketball for years, but for the first time, Marcus didn't feel intimidated by them. "I'll be in the stands watching," Rosa said as they got out of the car. "No matter what happens, I'm proud of you for trying." Marcus hugged his mother, then walked toward the gym with his new basketball under his arm. Emma Chen was waiting by the gym doors. "Wow, nice basketball," Emma said. "Where did you get it?" "From Mike, the man I told you about. He came to school just to give it to me and wish me luck." Emma's eyes widened. "He came to your school? Marcus, who is this guy?" "I don't know exactly," Marcus admitted, "but he's someone who believes in me. And right now, that's enough." Inside the gym, about 20 boys were gathered on the court. Coach Henderson stood in the middle with a clipboard, looking serious. He was a tall man with graying hair and arms crossed over his chest. Tommy Henderson was already on the court, dribbling a ball and talking loudly to his friends. When he saw Marcus, he nudged the boy next to him. "Look who showed up," Tommy said with a smirk. "Maybe they need someone to be the team water boy." Marcus felt his old nervousness try to creep back in, but then he remembered Mike's words. He dribbled his new basketball a few times, feeling its perfect weight and balance. The sound it made on the gym floor was crisp and confident. "All right, boys, gather around," Coach Henderson called out. "We have 20 boys trying out for 12 spots on the team. That means 8 of you will be going home disappointed." He looked around the group, his eyes stopping briefly on Marcus. "This isn't Recreation League, and this isn't elementary school. This is serious basketball. I'm looking for players who can handle pressure, follow instructions, and work as a team." Coach Henderson explained the tryout process. First, they would do basic skill drills, dribbling, shooting, and passing. Then they would scrimmage in small groups so he could see how they played with others. "Remember," the coach said, "I'm not just looking at your skills. I'm looking at your attitude, your effort, and your basketball IQ. Sometimes the most talented player isn't the best team player." The first drill was dribbling. The boys had to dribble around cones as fast as possible without losing control of the ball. Marcus watched the other boys go first, paying attention to their technique. When it was his turn, Marcus remembered everything Mike had taught him. Keep your head up. Use your fingertips, not your palm. Stay low and balanced. Marcus moved through the cones smoothly, his new basketball responding perfectly to his touch. He wasn't the fastest, but he didn't lose control once. When he finished, Coach Henderson made a mark on his clipboard. The shooting drill was next. Each boy had to make shots from 5 different spots around the court. Marcus had practiced this exact drill in his bedroom with socks, and now he got to do it for real. At the first spot, Marcus set his feet the way Mike had shown him. Elbow under the ball, follow through with his wrist. The ball arced perfectly through the air and swished through the net. "Nice shot, Rivera," said Jake Martinez, one of the 8th graders. "Where did you learn to shoot like that?" "Someone taught me about follow-through," Marcus said, moving to the next spot. He made 4 out of 5 shots from each position. It wasn't perfect, but it was consistent. More importantly, each shot felt natural and confident. Tommy Henderson was shooting at the same time as Marcus, but from different spots. Tommy was taller and stronger, but his shots were often too hard, bouncing off the rim with loud clanks. "Shoot softer, Tommy," Coach Henderson called out. "Let the ball find the basket." The passing drill came next. Boys had to make accurate passes to targets at different distances. Marcus's passes were right on target every time. His new basketball seemed to fly exactly where he wanted it to go. After an hour of drills, Coach Henderson gathered the boys for water break. "Good work so far. I'm seeing some real potential out there. Now we're going to scrimmage. I want to see how you play together." He divided the 20 boys into 4 teams, of 5 players each. Marcus found himself on a team with Jake Martinez, 2 6th graders named David and Carlos, and a quiet 7th grader named Ben. Tommy Henderson was on the opposing team with 4 of his friends, all bigger and older than most of Marcus's teammates. "This should be interesting," Tommy said loudly as the teams took the court. "Hope you guys are ready to learn something." Marcus's team got the ball first. Jake brought it up the court and passed it to Marcus for a split. Second, Marcus felt the old fear try to take over. He was surrounded by bigger kids who expected him to fail. But then he remembered Mike's voice. "It's not about being the biggest or the strongest. It's about heart." Marcus dribbled toward the basket, staying low and protecting the ball. When Tommy stepped up to guard him, Marcus made a quick move to the right, then crossed the ball over to his left hand. Tommy stumbled slightly, and Marcus drove past him to the basket. He scored on a clean layup, and his teammates cheered. "Where did that come from?" David asked, slapping Marcus on the back. "I've been practicing," Marcus said with a grin. The game continued, and Marcus kept surprising everyone. He wasn't the biggest or the fastest player on the court, but he was smart. He saw plays developing before they happened. He made passes that helped his teammates score, and when he had open shots, he made them. Most importantly, he played without fear. Every time Tommy or one of the bigger kids tried to intimidate him, Marcus remembered Mike's words about heart being more important than height. With 2 minutes left in the scrimmage, Marcus's team was winning by 3 points. Tommy's team had the ball, and they were trying hard to score. Tommy took a bad shot that missed, and Marcus grabbed the rebound. Instead of just dribbling out the clock, Marcus saw Ben open under the basket. He made a perfect pass that led to an easy score. "Great court vision, Rivera," Coach Henderson called out. When the scrimmage ended, Marcus's team had won by 7 points. As the boys walked off the court, Coach Henderson pulled Marcus aside. "Where did you learn to play like that?" the coach asked. "Someone taught me that basketball is about more than just being tall," Marcus said. Coach Henderson nodded thoughtfully. "Whoever taught you that was absolutely right. You played with real basketball. Intelligence out there? As the boys gathered their things, Tommy walked over to Marcus. For a moment, Marcus thought Tommy might say something mean. Instead, Tommy held out his hand. "Good game, Rivera. You're better than I thought." Marcus shook his hand, surprised. "Thanks, Tommy." Final decisions will be posted outside my office tomorrow morning at 8:12 a.m., Coach Henderson announced to the group. "Thank you all for coming out. This was one of the most competitive tryouts I've seen in years." As Marcus walked toward the stands where his mother was waiting, he felt different than he had ever felt before. Win or lose, he had played his best basketball ever. He had shown heart, just like Mike had taught him. But as he reached the stands, Marcus noticed something that made his heart skip a beat. In the back row, partially hidden by shadows, sat a familiar figure in a baseball cap. Mike had come to watch, after all. Marcus stared at the back row of the gym bleachers, his heart pounding. Even in the shadows, he could recognize Mike's tall frame and the way he sat with quiet confidence. Mike had been watching the entire tryout. "Mijo, what's wrong?" Rosa asked, noticing Marcus had stopped walking. Marcus pointed toward the back of the gym. "Mike is here. He came to watch me play." Rosa looked where Marcus was pointing, and her breath caught. Even from this distance, there was something about the man that made her feel that same strange familiarity she had felt at the hotel. Mike stood up and began walking down the bleachers toward them. As he got closer, Rosa could see his face more clearly in the gym lights. Something deep in her memory stirred, but she couldn't quite place it. "How did I do?" Marcus asked as Mike approached. "You played with heart," Mike said, his voice filled with pride. "Your father would have been amazed." Rosa froze. "What did you say?" Mike realized his mistake immediately. He had spoken without thinking, letting his emotions show through his words. "I said, your father would have been proud," Mike corrected quickly, but Rosa was staring at him with growing intensity. "No," Rosa said slowly. "You said he would have been amazed, like you knew him, like you knew Roberto." Marcus looked back and forth, between Mike and his mother, confused by the tension in the air. Mike was quiet for a long moment, clearly struggling with something internal. Finally, he spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. "Rosa, we need to talk." "How do you know my name? I never told you my name." Other families were walking past them, heading toward the parking lot, but Rosa, Marcus, and Mike stood in their own bubble of tension and confusion. Mike looked around the gym, then back at Rosa and Marcus. "Not here. This conversation. It needs to happen somewhere private." "Mom, what's going on?" Marcus asked, his excitement from the tryout now mixed with worry. Rosa's mind was racing. This man knew her name. He had spoken about Roberto like he knew him personally. And there was something about his eyes, his voice, that felt achingly familiar. "The hotel," Rosa said suddenly. "We can talk at the hotel. I have keys to the employee break room. It will be private there." Mike nodded. "I'll meet you there in 20 minutes. As Mike walked away, Rosa stood frozen in place. Marcus touched her arm gently. "Mom, are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." Rosa looked at her son, her eyes filling with tears. "Maybe I have, mijo. Maybe I have." 20 minutes later, Rosa unlocked the employee break room at the Pinnacle Hotel. It was a small, quiet space with a few tables and chairs, a coffee machine, and windows that looked out over the city. Marcus sat at one of the tables, still holding his basketball. He was completely confused about what was happening, but he could sense that it was something important. Mike entered the room a few minutes later. He had changed out of his suit and was wearing casual clothes again. But something about him seemed different, more serious, more emotional. "Rosa," Mike began, "I need to tell you something that's going to be hard to believe." "Try me," Rosa said, her voice steady, but her hands shaking slightly. Mike sat down across from them. 15 years ago, I used to work out late at night at a private gym downtown. The building was cleaned by a night janitor named Roberto Rivera. Rosa's breath caught. "You knew Roberto?" "I knew Roberto," Mike confirmed. "We became friends. Every night when I was there practicing, he would come in to clean. At first, we just said hello to each other, but gradually, we started talking." Marcus was staring at Mike with wide eyes. "You knew my dad?" "Your father was one of the best men I ever met," Mike said, his voice thick with emotion. "He worked 3 jobs to support you and your mother. He cleaned offices from midnight to 6 in the morning, then went home to spend the day with you while your mother worked." Rosa had tears streaming down her face now. "He never told me he had made a friend at one of his jobs." "Roberto was proud," Mike continued. "He didn't like to talk about work at home. He said home was for family time, not work stories. But at night, when we were both there alone, he would tell me about his dreams for you, Marcus." "What kind of dreams?" Marcus whispered. Mike smiled through his own tears. "He wanted you to have every opportunity he never had. He was saving money to buy you basketball lessons. He used to show me pictures of you playing with a little basketball in your apartment. You were only 3 years old, but Roberto swore you were going to be special." "But how? How do you remember all this?" Rosa asked. "Roberto worked for so many different buildings." Mike took a deep breath. "Because Roberto made me promise something. He made me promise that if anything ever happened to him, I would look out for his family. Especially his son." The room was completely silent, except for the sound of Rosa crying. "The night before Roberto died," Mike continued, "he was more worried than usual. He had a feeling something bad might happen. He made me promise again that I would watch over you both. He gave me your address, told me where you worked, made me swear I would keep my word." Marcus felt like the world was spinning. "You've been watching over us this whole time?" "From a distance," Mike said. "I made sure your mother always had steady work. When she applied for the job here at the hotel, I made sure the manager knew what a good worker she was. I've been keeping track of how you were doing in school, how you were growing up." Rosa looked up sharply. "The hotel job? You helped me get the hotel job?" "I have some connections in the hospitality business," Mike said carefully. "I just made sure the right people knew you were available and reliable." "But why didn't you ever contact us directly?" Rosa asked. "Why didn't you tell us you knew Roberto?" Mike's face crumpled with emotion. "Because I failed him. I promised to look out for his family, but I was traveling constantly for work. I was young and focused on my career. I told myself that helping from a distance was enough. But when I saw Marcus in that hotel lobby yesterday, looking so sad and defeated, I knew I had been wrong." "You didn't fail anyone," Rosa said firmly. "You kept your promise. The hotel job, making sure Marcus was safe. You've been watching over us just like you said you would." Mike shook his head. "But I should have been there for Marcus directly. Roberto talked about teaching him basketball, about being there for every game and practice. I should have stepped in to be that person for him." Marcus, who had been quiet through most of this conversation, finally spoke up. "But you are here now. You taught me about basketball. You believed in me when no one else did." Mike looked at Marcus with such love and pride that it took Rosa's breath away. "There's more," Mike said quietly. "Roberto left something for you, Marcus. He asked me to give it to you when you were old enough to understand." Mike reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope that looked old and worn. Marcus's name was written on the front in careful handwriting. Is that my dad's handwriting?" Marcus asked. "It is," Rosa confirmed, her voice breaking. "He used to practice his English writing every night after work." Mike handed the envelope to Marcus. "He wrote this letter the week before he died. He had a feeling. He wanted to make sure you knew how much he loved you and believed in you." With shaking hands, Marcus opened the envelope and pulled out a folded piece of paper. The letter was written in both Spanish and English, in the careful script of someone who had worked hard to learn a second language. Marcus began to read aloud, his young voice growing stronger with each word. "My dear son Marcus, if you are reading this letter, it means something has happened to me. But I want you to know that every day I had with you was the greatest gift of my life. I know you will grow up to be an amazing young man. You have your mother's kind heart and your own special spirit. I see it already, even though you are only 3 years old. I want you to know that being your father was the most important job I ever had. All the work I do at night, all the cleaning and the long hours, it is all worth it. Because it helps me take care of you and your beautiful mother, Mijo. Remember these things. Be kind to others, even when they are not kind to you. Work hard for your dreams, but never forget what is most important: family and love. And remember that greatness is not about being the best at something, it is about being better today than you were yesterday." I hope you will love basketball like I do. Basketball teaches us about teamwork, about not giving up, about getting back up when we fall down. These are lessons for life, not just for sports. If I cannot be there to teach you these things myself, I know that God will send someone to help you. Someone who will believe in you and show you how to believe in yourself. Never forget that you are loved, Marcus. Never forget that you come from a family of fighters who never give up on their dreams. Make me proud, but more importantly, make yourself proud. With all my love, your father, Roberto Rivera. By the time Marcus finished reading, all 3 of them were crying. Rosa put her arm around her son, and Mike sat quietly, overwhelmed by the emotion of finally fulfilling his promise to his old friend. "He knew," Marcus said softly. "He knew someone would come to help me." Mike nodded. Roberto was a very wise man, and he was right. You are going to be amazing. Marcus, not just at basketball, but at life. Marcus looked up at Mike with new understanding. This is why you helped me. Not just because you're nice, but because you promised my dad. I helped you because of the promise I made to your father, Mike said. But I kept helping you because of who you are. Roberto would be so proud of the young man you've become. Rosa reached across the table and took Mike's hand. Thank you for keeping your promise. Thank you for watching over us all these years. And thank you for being there for Marcus when he needed it most. Mike squeezed her hand gently. Roberto was my friend. You are his family. That makes you my family too. As the three of them sat in that quiet break room, Marcus felt something he had never felt before, a connection to his father that was real and tangible. And in Mike, he had found not just a mentor, but someone who had loved his father and was committed to honoring his memory. "There's one more thing I need to tell you," Mike said, looking at both Rosa and Marcus. "Something about who I am." Marcus and Rosa looked at him expectantly. "My full name is Michael Jordan." The employee break room fell completely silent. Rosa's hand went to her mouth, and Marcus just stared at Mike with wide eyes. "Michael Jordan," Marcus repeated slowly, as if testing how the words sounded. "Like the Michael Jordan?" Mike nodded gently. "Yes, Marcus, that Michael Jordan." Rosa stood up so quickly that her chair scraped loudly against the floor. You're Michael Jordan, the basketball player, and you knew my Roberto?" "I knew your Roberto," Mike confirmed. "He was my friend long before most people knew my name. Back then, I was just a young player trying to make it in the NBA. I practiced late at night, because that's when the gym was available to me." Marcus's mind was spinning. "You're Michael Jordan," he said again, still trying to process it. "And you've been taking care of us because you promised my dad?" "That's right." Rosa sat back down heavily. "Roberto never told me, in all the stories. He shared about work. He never mentioned meeting a famous basketball player." Mike smiled sadly. "That's because Roberto didn't treat me like I was famous. To him, I was just Mike, a young man who worked hard and loved basketball, just like he did." Roberto saw people for who they were inside, not for what the world said about them. "That sounds like Dad," Marcus said softly. "Mom always says he was good at seeing the best in people." "Your father had a gift for that," Mike agreed. "He used to tell me that every person has greatness inside them. They just need someone to believe in it and help bring it out." Rosa wiped tears from her eyes. "That's exactly what Roberto would say. He always said that about you, Marcus. He said you had something special inside you, even when you were just a baby." Mike leaned forward. "Roberto talked about you constantly. Marcus, he would show me pictures of you playing with that little basketball. He had such big dreams for you." "What kind of dreams?" Marcus asked. "He wanted you to have every opportunity to succeed. He was saving money for basketball, lessons, planning to take you to games, dreaming about the day you might play in high school and maybe even college." Mike's voice got softer. He said basketball would teach you about life, about teamwork, about never giving up, about getting back up when you fall down. Marcus looked down at the letter from his father, still clutched in his hands. He wrote the same thing in his letter. "Roberto was consistent in his beliefs," Mike said, "and he was right. Look at how you played today. You showed heart, intelligence, and determination. Those aren't just basketball skills. They're life skills." Rosa shook her head in amazement. "All these years, I wondered how we always seemed to land on our feet. When Roberto died, I was so scared about how we would survive. But somehow, things always worked out. The hotel job, Marcus's school, the way people always seemed to give us chances." "Roberto made me promise to watch over you both," Mike said. "I've tried to honor that promise while respecting your independence. I never wanted you to feel like charity cases. I just wanted to make sure you had opportunities." Marcus stood up and began pacing around the small room. "This is crazy. Michael Jordan taught me how to shoot a basketball. Michael Jordan gave me advice about believing in myself. Michael Jordan was at my tryouts. First and foremost, Mike Teat said firmly, "I'm your father's friend. Everything else comes after that." Rosa looked at Mike with new understanding. Yesterday at the hotel, when that manager mistook you for a janitor, you didn't correct her because there's nothing wrong with being a janitor, Mike finished. Roberto taught me that all honest work has dignity. When Patricia assumed I was a janitor, I thought about your husband and how he would have handled that room. So I cleaned it the way Roberto would have, with pride and attention to detail. "You honored him," Rosa said, fresh tears flowing. "Even after all these years, you honored his memory," Mike nodded. Roberto was one of the most honorable men I ever knew. He worked 3 jobs without complaining. He studied English every night after work. He saved every penny he could for his family's future. He had more dignity and strength than most people I've met in all my years of fame. Marcus sat back down, looking overwhelmed. "So when you told me about getting cut from your basketball team, that really happened. I really did get cut when I was 15. I really did go home and cry. And Roberto was one of the people who helped me understand that failure is just a stepping stone to success." "Dad helped you?" "Your father was a great listener and an even better friend. When I was struggling with disappointment or pressure, Roberto would remind me to stay humble and keep working hard. He said success isn't about being the best. It's about being better than you were yesterday." Marcus smiled. "He wrote that same thing in his letter to me." "Roberto was full of wisdom," Mike said. "He used to tell me that God gives everyone different gifts. Some people are tall, some are fast, some are smart. But the most important gift is heart. And heart can't be taught. It can only be discovered." Rosa reached over and squeezed Marcus's hand. "Your father saw that heart in you from the very beginning, Mijo. And he saw it in Michael, too." Mike looked at Marcus seriously. "I want you to understand something important. Yes, I'm Michael Jordan, the basketball player. But that's not why I helped you. I helped you because you're Roberto Rivera's son. I helped you because your father asked me to watch over you. And I kept helping you because I could see you have the same character your father had." "What happens now?" Marcus asked. "I mean, now that I know who you really are?" Mike smiled. "Now you go to school tomorrow morning and find out if you made the basketball team. And regardless of what that list says, you keep working hard and believing in yourself." "But will I still see you? Are we still friends?" "Marcus," Mike said warmly, "you're not just my friend. You're family. You're Roberto's son, which makes you my responsibility and my joy. That doesn't change just because you know my last name now." Rosa looked at Mike with gratitude. "What Roberto asked of you, it was a big thing to ask. Watching over a family for 15 years. That goes beyond friendship." "Roberto would have done the same for me," Mike said simply. "Actually, he did do the same for me. When I was young and struggling, he believed in me. He encouraged me. He reminded me to stay humble. In many ways, Roberto helped make me who I became." Marcus picked up his basketball, the one Mike had given him just hours ago. "This isn't just any basketball, is it?" Mike grinned. "It's a game, ball from one of my championship seasons. But more importantly, It's a tool for you to chase your own dreams. A championship basketball? Marcus's eyes went wide. I can't accept this. It must be worth... It's worth exactly what any basketball is worth, Mike interrupted. A chance to practice, a chance to improve, a chance to have fun. Roberto would want you to use it, not put it on a shelf. Rosa stood up and walked over to Mike. I don't know how to thank you for keeping your promise to Roberto, for watching over us, for believing in Marcus. You don't need to thank me, Rosa. Roberto was my friend. You're his family. This is what families do for each other. Marcus looked at the letter from his father again, then at Mike. Dad was right. He said someone would come to help me believe in myself. He knew it would be you, didn't he? Mike's eyes filled with tears. I think Roberto had faith that somehow, some way, our paths would cross when you needed it most. He always said that God has a plan, and sometimes that plan takes longer than we want it to. 15 years, Rosa mused. Roberto has been gone for 9 years, but his friendship with you has kept helping his family. That's beautiful. Roberto's influence on my life didn't end when he died, Mike said. Every time I face a challenge, I think about his wisdom. Every time I'm tempted to act like I'm more important than someone else, I remember how he treated everyone with respect. Your husband made me a better person. Marcus stood up and walked over to Mike. Without saying anything, he hugged him tightly. Mike hugged him back, and Rosa joined them. Thank you for being my dad's friend, Marcus whispered. And thank you for being mine. Thank you for being Roberto's son, Mike replied. He lives on in you, Marcus. I see him in your determination, your kindness, your heart. When they separated, Rosa wiped her eyes and smiled. Roberto would be so amazed by all of this. His son getting basketball advice from Michael Jordan. His family being cared for by one of the most famous athletes in the world. But most of all, Mike added, Roberto would be proud that his son has grown up to be exactly the kind of young man he hoped he would be. Marcus looked around the employee break room where this incredible conversation had taken place. Just this morning, he had been a nervous kid hoping to make his school basketball team. Now he was sitting with Michael Jordan, learning about his father's friendship with a legend, and understanding that he had been watched over and protected his entire life. Tomorrow, Marcus said thoughtfully, when I go to school and see if I made the team, it's going to feel different now. How so? Mike asked. Because now I know that no matter what happens, I'm not alone. I have my mom. I have the memory of my dad, and I have you. That makes me feel like I can handle anything. Mike smiled. That's exactly how Roberto would want you to feel. Strong, supported, and ready for whatever comes next. As they prepared to leave the break room, Marcus carefully folded his father's letter and put it in his pocket. He picked up his championship basketball and looked at Mike one more time. Michael Jordan, he said, shaking his head in wonder. My dad was friends with Michael Jordan. Your dad was friends with Mike, Mike corrected gently. Michael Jordan is what the world calls me. Mike is what friends call me. And that's what you'll always call me. Okay, Mike, Marcus said with a grin. See you tomorrow? I'll be there when you find out about the team, Mike promised. Win or lose, we'll celebrate how far you've come. As they walked out of the hotel together, Marcus felt like his whole world had changed in the span of one conversation, but in the best possible way. He finally understood his connection to his father. He had gained a mentor and friend for life. and he had learned that sometimes the most incredible things happen when you least expect them. The janitor's game had become so much more than anyone could have imagined. The next morning, Marcus woke up before his alarm for the second day in a row. But this time was different. This time, he felt like he was carrying the strength of three people: himself, his father Roberto, and his father's friend Mike. He got dressed quickly, putting on his best clothes for what felt like the most important day of his life. As he ate breakfast, Rosa watched him with amazement. "You look different again, mijo," she said, pouring orange juice into his glass. "Even more confident than yesterday." "I feel different," Marcus said honestly. "Knowing about Dad and Mike, it's like I understand who I am now. Not just Marcus Rivera, but Roberto Rivera's son. And Roberto Rivera was someone special." "Yes, he was," Rosa agreed, tears threatening her eyes again. "And he would be so proud of the young man you've become." At 7:45 a.m., Marcus and Rosa arrived at Roosevelt Middle School. A small crowd of boys and their parents had already gathered outside Coach Henderson's office, where the team list would be posted at 8:00 a.m. exactly. Tommy Henderson stood with his father, looking confident but nervous. Jake Martinez was there with his older brother. David and Carlos, Marcus's teammates from yesterday's scrimmage, waved when they saw him. "Hey, Marcus," called Emma Chen, who had come to support her friend. "How are you feeling?" "Ready for whatever happens," Marcus said, and he meant it. At exactly 8:20 a.m., Coach Henderson emerged from his office with a single sheet of paper. The crowd fell silent as he taped it to his door. "The list is posted," he announced. "Congratulations. To those who made it and to those who didn't, keep working hard. There's always next year." Marcus felt his heart beating fast, but it wasn't the scared kind of fast from before. It was excited fast. He had played his best basketball yesterday, and no matter what this list said, he knew he had given everything he had. The crowd surged forward to read the list. Marcus hung back, letting the older kids check first. He watched their faces. Some lit up with joy, others fell with disappointment. Tommy Henderson let out a loud, "Yes!" and high-fived his father. Jake Martinez grinned and hugged his brother. But Marcus also saw two 8th graders walk away with their heads down, clearly disappointed. "Marcus Rivera!" Marcus looked up to see David running toward him with a huge smile. "You made it! You made the team!" Marcus felt like his legs might give out. "Are you sure?" "Go look for yourself." Marcus walked to the list with Rosa beside him. He scanned the names, and there it was. Marcus Rivera, 6th grade. He had made the team. Rosa hugged him tightly, both of them crying happy tears. Other parents congratulated them, and his new teammates slapped him on the back. "Way to go, Rivera," Tommy Henderson said, genuinely happy for him. "You earned this." But as Marcus celebrated with his family and friends, he kept looking around for one person. Where was Mike? "Looking for someone," came a familiar voice behind him. Marcus turned around to see Mike approaching, wearing a simple button-down shirt and jeans. He looked like any other parent who had come to support a kid, except for the unmistakable smile of pride on his face. "Mike!" Marcus ran to him. "I made the team." "I knew you would," Mike said, hugging him. "I watched you play yesterday. You have everything it takes." Rosa joined them, smiling through her tears. "Thank you for being here. Roberto would have wanted to share this moment." Roberto is sharing this moment, Mike said gently. I can feel him here with us. Coach Henderson noticed the commotion and walked over. Marcus, I want you to know that was one of the most impressive tryouts I've seen from a 6th grader. You play with real basketball intelligence. Thank you, Coach, Marcus said. I had a good teacher. Coach Henderson looked at Mike curiously. Are you Marcus's father? Marcus and Mike exchanged a look. This is my friend Mike, Marcus said. He's been helping me with my basketball. Well, he's done an excellent job, Coach Henderson said to Mike. Marcus has fundamentals that most kids his age don't develop for years. Where did you learn to teach basketball? Mike smiled mysteriously. I picked up a few things over the years. As Coach Henderson walked away, Emma Chen approached the group. Marcus, who is this? And why do I feel like I've seen him somewhere before? Marcus looked at Mike, who nodded slightly. Emma, this is Michael Jordan. Emma's mouth fell open. Michael Jordan? The Michael Jordan? The one and only, Mike said with a grin. And you must be Emma. Marcus has told me a lot about what a good friend you are. Oh my God, Emma whispered. Michael, Jordan knows who I am. Other kids began to notice the conversation, and soon word was spreading through the crowd, like wildfire. That's Michael Jordan! Marcus knows Michael Jordan. Is that really him? But Mike handled the attention with the same grace he had shown throughout this entire experience. He signed a few autographs, took some pictures, but always made sure the focus stayed on Marcus and his achievement. Today is about Marcus making the team, Mike told everyone. That's what we're celebrating. Patricia Whitmore arrived at the ITIB school just as the crowd was dispersing. She had heard about the tryout results and wanted to congratulate Rosa's son. When she saw Mike surrounded by excited kids and parents, she smiled knowingly. I see you've revealed your secret, she said as she approached. Hi, Patricia, Mike said warmly. Yes, it seemed like the right time. Patricia shook Marcus's hand. Congratulations on making the team. Your mother is going to be insufferable at work now, bragging about her basketball player son. Marcus grinned. Thanks, Ms. Whitmore. And thank you, Patricia said to Mike, for teaching me something important yesterday about not judging people by their appearance. I'll never forget that lesson. As the crowd began to thin out, Mike pulled Marcus aside for a private conversation. Now that you've made the team, the real work begins, Mike said. Making the team is just the first step. Now you have to prove you belong there every single day. I know, Marcus said, but I won't be doing it alone. I have you and Mom and the memory of Dad helping me. That's right. And Marcus, I want you to remember something else. This team you've made, you're going to meet kids who doubt themselves just like you used to. Kids who think they're too small, or not good enough, or don't belong. Marcus nodded, understanding where this was going. When you meet those kids, I want you to remember how it felt when someone believed in you. I want you to be for them what I tried to be for you. You want me to help other kids? Your father believed that everyone has greatness inside them. They just need someone to help bring it out. That's what Roberto did for me. That's what I tried to do for you. And that's what you can do for others. Marcus felt a warm feeling spread through his chest. So it's like passing it forward? Exactly. The best way to honor your father's memory is to treat others the way he would have treated them. Just then, Marcus noticed a small girl sitting alone on a bench near the school entrance. She was holding a soccer ball and looked sad. "Mike," Marcus said, "give me just a minute." Marcus walked over to the girl and sat down beside her. "Hi, I'm Marcus. What's your name?" The girl looked up with surprised eyes. "Sophia. I was watching the basketball tryouts. Congratulations on making the team." "Thanks, but you look sad about something. What's wrong?" Sophia sighed. "I tried out for the soccer team yesterday. I didn't make it. The coach said I was too small and needed to get stronger." Marcus felt his heart recognized Sophia's pain immediately. "Can I tell you something? Yesterday, I was sure I was too small to make the basketball team. Everyone said I didn't have a chance." "Really? Really? But someone taught me that it's not about being the biggest or the strongest. It's about heart. And anyone can have heart, no matter what size they are." Sophia looked interested. "What do you mean?" "Well, being small can actually be an advantage in soccer. You're probably faster than the bigger kids. You can probably change direction quicker. And if you work on your skills, you can do things that bigger players can't do." "You think so?" "I know so. Can I ask you something? Do you love playing soccer?" "More than anything," Sophia said with sudden passion. "Then don't give up. Keep practicing, keep getting better, and try out again next year. Sometimes no just means not yet." Mike and Rosa had been watching this conversation from a distance, both of them smiling with pride. "Look at him," Rosa whispered to Mike. "He's already doing what you taught him to do." "He's doing what Roberto would have done," Mike replied, seeing someone who needs encouragement and taking the time to help. Marcus stood up and offered Sophia his hand. "Come on, let me introduce you to some people. And maybe we can practice together sometime. Basketball and soccer skills actually help each other." As Marcus led Sophia over to meet Mike and his mother, Mike felt a deep satisfaction. Roberto's legacy was alive and growing. The kindness that Roberto had shown to a young basketball player 15 years ago was now flowing through his son to another child who needed hope. The circle was complete, but it was also beginning again. "Roberto," Mike whispered quietly, "your son is going to change lives, just like you did. Just like you're still doing." Marcus introduced Sophia to everyone, and Mike knelt down to her level, just as he had done with Marcus 2 days ago. "Sophia, I want you to remember something," Mike said gently. "The greatest players in any sport aren't always the biggest or the strongest. They're the ones who never give up on their dreams." As they all walked toward the parking lot together, Marcus, Rosa, Mike, Emma, and Sophia, Marcus felt like his world had expanded in the most beautiful way. He had made the basketball team, discovered his father's incredible friendship with Michael Jordan, and already started helping another kid believe in herself. "Hey, Mike," Marcus said as they reached the cars. "Yeah? Thank you for keeping your promise to my dad. And thank you for teaching me that the best way to be great is to help others be great too." Mike smiled, remembering Roberto's words from so many years ago. The most important gift is heart, and heart can't be taught. It can only be discovered and shared. "Thank you for being Roberto Rivera's son," Mike replied. "The world is a better place because of who you're becoming." 6 months later, the gym at Roosevelt Middle School was packed for the biggest game of the season, the championship game. Marcus had grown 2 inches and gained confidence that seemed to make him even taller. In the stands, Rosa sat between Mike and Patricia, all 3 of them wearing Roosevelt Eagles-it shirts. Emma Chen was there with her family, cheering loudly. And in the front row sat Sophia, who had made the school soccer team after months of practice and encouragement from Marcus. "Look at him," Rosa said proudly, as Marcus warmed up on the court. "Roberto would be so amazed." "Roberto would be proud of more than just his basketball skills," Mike replied, watching Marcus encourage a nervous 6th grader during warm-ups. "Look how he treats his teammates." Over the past 6 months, Marcus had become more than just a player on the team. He had become its heart. When younger kids felt overwhelmed, Marcus was there to help them. When teammates made mistakes, Marcus was the first to encourage them. When new players joined the team, Marcus made sure they felt welcome. Coach Henderson had noticed the change in team chemistry since Marcus joined. "That Rivera kid has something special," he had told his assistant, Coach. "He makes everyone around him better." Tonight's championship game was against the Jefferson Jaguars, a team known for being bigger, stronger, and more aggressive than Roosevelt. But Marcus wasn't intimidated. He had learned that heart mattered more than height. And this Eagles team had plenty of heart. The game began with Jefferson taking an early lead. Their players were indeed taller and stronger, and they used their size to control the rebounds and score easy baskets. During the first time out, with Roosevelt down 12-6, Marcus gathered his teammates in a huddle. "Hey guys," he said, his voice calm and confident. "I know they're bigger than us, but remember what we've learned in practice. We're faster, we're smarter, and we play as a team. Size doesn't win games. Teamwork does." His teammates nodded, their nervousness beginning to fade. Marcus had this effect on people. When he spoke with confidence, others started to believe, too. "Let's show them what Eagles basketball looks like," Marcus continued. "Pass the ball, support each other, and never give up." In the stands, Mike smiled as he watched Marcus lead his team. "He sounds just like his father," he whispered to Rosa. Roberto always said that leadership isn't about being the loudest voice, Rosa replied. "It's about being the voice that others want to follow." The second quarter was different. Roosevelt began to play as a unit, moving the ball quickly and finding open shots. Marcus wasn't the leading scorer, but he was the conductor of the orchestra, making passes that helped his teammates succeed. With 2 minutes left in the first half, Marcus saw his teammate Kevin open under the basket. Instead of taking a shot himself, Marcus made a perfect pass that led to an easy score. The crowd erupted as Roosevelt took their first lead of the game. At halftime, the score was tied 28-28. In the locker room, Coach Henderson addressed his team. "You're playing exactly the way champions play," he told them. "You're supporting each other. You're thinking before you act, and you're showing heart. Keep it up for 2 more quarters." As the team prepared to return to the court, Marcus pulled Sophia aside. She had become like a little sister to him over the past months. "How do you think we're doing?" Marcus asked her. "You're playing like a real team," Sophia said. "But more than that, you're playing with joy. You can see it on everyone's faces." Marcus smiled. Sophia was right. This team had learned to love the game, not just try to win it. The third quarter was a battle. Both teams played their best basketball, trading baskets and making incredible plays. Marcus continued to be the steady presence his team needed, making smart decisions and keeping everyone focused. With 1 quarter left to play, Roosevelt led by 3 points, 42-39. During the timeout before the 4th quarter, Mike found himself thinking about Roberto. "Your son is doing something special down there," he whispered toward the ceiling. "He's not just playing basketball, he's showing everyone what it means to lift others up." The 4th quarter was when champions were made. Jefferson came out, strong, determined to use their size advantage to wear down the smaller Roosevelt team. With 5 minutes left, Jefferson had retaken the lead, 48-45. Some of the Roosevelt players began to look tired and discouraged. Marcus called for a timeout. "Coach," he said to Coach Henderson, "can I talk to the team?" Coach Henderson nodded, impressed by his young players' leadership. Marcus gathered his teammates around him on the bench. "I want to tell you guys something," he said. 6 months ago, I was sitting in a hotel lobby, scared to even try out for this team. I thought I was too small, too weak, not good enough." His teammates listened intently. "But someone taught me that being great isn't about being the biggest or the strongest. It's about having heart. It's about believing in yourself and believing in your teammates." Marcus looked each of his teammates in the eyes. "We have 5 minutes left to show everyone what we're made of, not as individual players, but as a team, as brothers. I believe in every single one of you," Marcus continued. "And I know that if we play with heart for 5 more minutes, we can win this game." The huddle erupted in cheers as the team took the court for the final 5 minutes. What happened next was the kind of basketball that makes people fall in love with the sport. Roosevelt played with perfect teamwork, making passes that seemed impossible and taking shots with complete confidence. Marcus had the game of his young life, but not because he scored the most points. He had the game of his life because he made everyone else better. With 30 seconds left, Roosevelt led 56-54. Jefferson had the ball and a chance to tie or take the lead. The Jefferson player drove toward the basket, looking to score the tying points. Marcus stepped up to help defend, but instead of trying to steal the ball, he positioned himself to take a charge. A dangerous play where he would let the offensive player run into him. The collision was hard, and Marcus hit the floor with a loud thud. The referee's whistle blew. Charging foul on Jefferson. Roosevelt would get the ball back with a chance to seal the victory. As Marcus got up from the floor, the entire Roosevelt crowd was on their feet cheering. But Marcus wasn't thinking about the crowd. He was thinking about his teammates. "Great defense, everyone," he called out as he jogged back up the court. "Let's finish this." With 15 seconds left, Marcus had the ball and a chance to score the points that would put the game away. The defense expected him to shoot. Instead, Marcus saw Tommy Henderson open in the corner. Without hesitation, he passed the ball to Tommy, who made the shot that clinched the championship. As the final buzzer sounded, the Roosevelt Eagles had won their first championship in 5 years. But what happened next was even more special than the victory. Instead of celebrating his own performance, Marcus ran straight to Tommy Henderson and lifted him up in celebration. Then he found every teammate and made sure they knew how important their contributions had been. In the stands, Mike was wiping tears from his eyes. "Roberto," he said quietly, "your son just taught everyone in this gym what it means to be a champion." Rosa was crying too, but they were tears of pure joy. "He's not just a good basketball player," she said. "He's becoming a good man." After the trophy ceremony, Marcus found Mike in the crowd. The gym was still buzzing with celebration, but Marcus wanted a quiet moment with the man who had changed his life. "Did you see the game?" Marcus asked. "I saw everything," Mike replied. "And I'm not just talking about the basketball. I saw you make Tommy the hero of that final shot. I saw you encourage your teammates when they were tired. I saw you take that charge to help your team win." "I learned from the best," Marcus said with a grin. "You learned from your father," Mike corrected. "I just reminded you of what Roberto had already put in your heart." As they talked, Sophia ran up to them, her face glowing with excitement. "Marcus, that was amazing! The way you passed to Tommy at the end, that was the most unselfish thing I've ever seen." Marcus knelt down to Sophia's level. "Remember what we talked about? Being great isn't about getting all the glory for yourself. It's about making sure everyone around you gets to feel great, too." Sophia nodded seriously. "I'm going to remember that in my soccer games." "Good," Marcus said. "And remember something else. You made this team too because you never gave up. You kept practicing even when people said you were too small." Mike watched this interaction between Marcus and Sophia, and he saw the future. He saw how Roberto's wisdom would continue to spread, from father to son, from mentor to student, from friend to friend. As the celebration continued around them, Mike pulled Rosa aside. "I want to ask you something," he said. "Marcus has shown incredible leadership and character. I'd like to offer him a spot in a special summer basketball camp I run for kids who show exceptional promise." "That's very generous," Rosa said, "but I hope you're not offering this just because of your friendship with Roberto." "I'm offering this because of who Marcus has become," Mike replied. "Yes, I love him because he's Roberto's son, but I respect him because of his own character. He's earned this opportunity." Rosa smiled. Roberto would say that's the best kind of success, the kind you earn through your own efforts. As the evening wound down and families began to leave the gym, Marcus found himself standing at center court with his championship medal around his neck. The gym was almost empty now, but he could feel the presence of everyone who had helped him get to this moment. His teammates, who had believed in him. His mother, who had supported his dreams. Mike, who had taught him about heart and character. And somehow, he could feel his father there too, proud of the young man his son was becoming. Marcus picked up a basketball from the equipment cart and took one more shot from the free throw line. It swished through the net perfectly. "Thanks, Dad," he whispered, "and thanks for sending me the best teacher in the world." As Marcus walked toward the exit, he passed the trophy case where their championship trophy would soon be displayed. But he knew that the real victory wasn't the shiny trophy or the medal around his neck. The real victory was learning that greatness isn't about being the best. It's about bringing out the best in others. And in that lesson, Roberto Rivera's legacy lived on. 3 weeks after the championship game, Marcus was surprised to find Mike waiting for him outside Roosevelt Middle School on a Tuesday afternoon. It had been a normal day of classes, but seeing Mike always made any day feel special. "Hey, Mike," Marcus called out, jogging over with his backpack bouncing. "What are you doing here?" Mike smiled that familiar warm smile. "I have a surprise for you. But first, I want to talk to you about something important." They walked to a quiet bench near the school's basketball court. Marcus noticed that Mike seemed more serious than usual, but not in a bad way. More like he had something meaningful to share. "Marcus, do you remember what I told you about paying it forward?" about helping other kids the way I helped you?" "Of course," Marcus said. "That's what I've been trying to do with Sophia and some of the younger kids on the team." "You've been doing an incredible job with that," Mike said, "but I want to offer you an opportunity to help even more kids." Mike pulled out a folder from his briefcase. "I've been working on something for the past few months, a program to help kids who need mentorship and encouragement, just like you did." Marcus opened the folder and saw papers with official-looking letterhead. At the top, it read, "The Roberto Rivera Foundation, Building Champions Through Heart." Marcus's eyes went wide. "You named it after my dad?" "Your father's wisdom about heart being more important than size has helped more people than you know," Mike explained. "It helped me become a better player and a better person. It helped you become a leader. And now it's going to help hundreds of other kids." Marcus read through the papers, his excitement growing with each page. The foundation would provide basketball, training, mentorship, and academic support for kids from working families. Kids whose parents worked multiple jobs, just like Roberto had. Kids who felt too small or not good enough, just like Marcus had. "This is amazing," Marcus said. "But why are you showing this to me?" Mike leaned forward. "Because I want you to be the first junior ambassador for the foundation. You would help me identify kids who need encouragement, and you would share your story with them. Show them that heart really does matter more than height." Marcus felt his chest swell with pride and purpose. "You want me to help run a foundation named after my dad?" "I want you to help carry on your father's legacy," Mike said. "Roberto believed that everyone has greatness inside them. You've proven that's true. Now let's help other kids discover their own greatness." Just then, Rosa's car pulled up to the school. She got out and walked over to them, curious about their serious conversation. "What are you two plotting over here?" she asked with a smile. Mike handed her a copy of the foundation papers. Rosa's face went through a series of emotions as she read, surprise, joy, tears, and finally, overwhelming gratitude. "Michael," she said softly, This is beautiful. Roberto would be so honored." "Roberto deserves to be honored," Mike replied. "His wisdom changed my life. Now, let's use it to change other lives, too." Rosa sat down on the bench beside her son. "Marcus, do you understand what this means? Your father's name will be helping children for years to come." Marcus nodded, feeling the weight and wonder of it all. "It means Dad's story doesn't end with him. It keeps going through all the kids we help." That Saturday, Marcus experienced his first official foundation event. Mike had arranged for them to visit a community center in a neighborhood very similar to the one where Marcus had grown up. 20 kids, ages 8 to 14, had signed up for a basketball clinic. As Marcus walked into the community center, he saw himself in so many of the faces looking back at him. Kids who looked uncertain. Kids who seemed too small for their age. Kids whose clothes didn't quite fit right, but who carried basketballs like they were treasures. "Hi, everyone," Marcus said, standing next to Mike in front of the group. "My name is Marcus Rivera, and 2 years ago, I was sitting exactly where you're sitting now." The kids looked at him with curious eyes. Marcus was only 14 now, not much older than some of them, but there was something in his voice that commanded attention. 2 years ago, I thought I was too small to play basketball. I thought kids would laugh at me if I tried out for my school team. I thought I wasn't good enough." A small girl in the front row raised her hand. What changed your mind? Marcus smiled. Someone believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Someone taught me that being great isn't about being the biggest or the strongest. It's about having heart. He gestured toward Mike. This is my friend Mike. He's going to teach you some basketball skills today. But more importantly, he's going to teach you about believing in yourselves. As the clinic began, Marcus watched Mike work with the kids exactly the way he had worked with Marcus 2 years ago. Patient, encouraging, focused on fundamentals and confidence rather than just talent. But Marcus also noticed something else. The kids seemed to relate to him in a way they didn't quite relate to Mike. When Marcus showed them shooting form or passing techniques, they listened with special attention. When he shared stories about being nervous or making mistakes, they nodded with understanding. During a water break, a boy named Carlos approached Marcus. He was small for his age and reminded Marcus of himself. "Marcus," Carlos said quietly, "did you really think you weren't good enough?" "I really did," Marcus said honestly. "I almost didn't try out for my team because I was so scared of failing." "What if I'm really not good enough, though? What if I'm too short and too weak?" Marcus knelt down to Carlos's eye level, just like Mike had done with him. "Can I tell you a secret? Being small can actually be an advantage. You're probably faster than the bigger kids. You can probably change direction quicker. And if you work on your skills, you can do things that big players can't do." Carlos's eyes lit up with interest. "But the most important thing," Marcus continued, "is that basketball isn't really about basketball. It's about learning to work with other people, learning to get back up when you fall down, and learning that you're capable of more than you think you are." "Like life skills?" Carlos asked. "Exactly like life skills," Marcus said. "The basketball is just the tool we use to learn them." As the clinic continued, Marcus found himself naturally taking on a teaching role. He worked with individual kids, offering encouragement and technical tips. He organized small scrimmages where everyone got to participate. Most importantly, he made sure every child felt valued and included. Mike watched all of this with deep satisfaction. Marcus had become exactly what Roberto would have wanted him to become. Not just a good basketball player, but a young man who lifted others up. Near the end of the clinic, Mike gathered all the kids together for a final message. "I want to tell you about the man this foundation is named after," Mike said. Roberto Rivera was Marcus's father. He worked as a janitor, cleaning buildings at night so he could spend time with his family during the day. The kids listened intently as Mike continued. Roberto never played professional basketball. He never won any championships or appeared on TV. But Roberto understood something that many people don't understand. He understood that greatness isn't about fame or money or trophies. Greatness is about making the people around you better. Marcus felt tears in his eyes as Mike talked about his father. "Roberto taught me that lesson," Mike said, "and Marcus learned it too. Now we want to teach it to all of you. Every person has the ability to be great, not because of their size or their talent, but because of their heart." A girl named Maria raised her hand. "What if we don't make our school teams?" "Then you keep practicing," Marcus said, stepping forward. "You remember that no doesn't mean never. It just means not yet. And you find other ways to use what you've learned to help people." "Basketball skills?" asked Carlos. "Life skills," Marcus corrected gently. "Teamwork, determination, getting?" Back up when you fall down, believing in yourself and others. You can use those skills anywhere, in school, in your family, in your friendships. As the clinic ended and families came to pick up their children, Marcus was amazed by what he saw. Kids who had arrived looking uncertain and shy were leaving, with confidence in their steps and smiles on their faces. "How do you feel?" Mike asked Marcus as they cleaned up the gym. "I feel like I understand what Dad meant," Marcus said, "about everyone having greatness inside them. I could see it in every kid here today." "And they could see the greatness in you, too," Mike pointed out. "That's how it works. When someone believes in you, it helps you believe in yourself. Then you believe in others, and they start believing in themselves." Rosa had been watching from the sidelines all day, and she approached them as they finished packing up the equipment. "Mijo," she said to Marcus, "I have never been more proud of you than I am right now. Not because you won a championship, not because you made the team, but because of who you're becoming." "What do you mean?" Marcus asked. "You're becoming the kind of person who makes the world better just by being in it," Rosa said. "Just like your father was." As they walked out of the community center, Marcus turned back to look at the gym one more time. In a few hours, it would be empty again. But the kids who had been there today would carry something with them, the knowledge that they were capable of greatness, that someone believed in them, that heart mattered more than height. "Mike," Marcus said as they reached the parking lot, "thank you for letting me be part of this." "Thank you for being Roberto's son," Mike replied, "and thank you for becoming exactly the kind of young man he dreamed you would be." That night, Marcus lay in bed thinking about the day. 2 years ago, he had been a scared kid, sitting in a hotel lobby, convinced he would never be good enough for anything. Now he was helping other kids discover their own potential. He reached over to his nightstand and picked up the letter from his father that he kept there. He had read it hundreds of times, but tonight one particular line stood out. "If I cannot be there to teach you these things myself, I know that God will send someone to help you." Marcus smiled in the darkness. His father had been right about so many things. Someone had been sent to help him. And now, Marcus was becoming that someone for other kids. The Roberto Rivera Foundation was just the beginning. Marcus could feel it in his heart. There were going to be many more kids, many more stories, many more opportunities to pass forward the gift he had been given. And in every child they helped, Roberto Rivera's legacy would continue to grow. 1 year later, Marcus stood in the lobby of the Pinnacle Hotel, but everything was different. Now, he was 15 years old, taller and more confident, wearing a crisp white shirt with the Roberto Rivera Foundation logo on the pocket. Today was the Foundation's first annual celebration, and the hotel lobby had been transformed into a gathering place for all the lives that had been touched by his father's legacy. Patricia Whitmore, now a close friend of the family, had donated the hotel space for the event. She walked over to Marcus with a warm smile. "Look at you," she said proudly. "From the quiet boy who used to wait for his mother in this lobby to the young man leading a foundation. Your transformation has been incredible to witness." Marcus looked around the lobby where his journey had begun. The same leather chairs where he had sat nervously with his tryout flyer. The same marble floors where Mike had been mistaken for a janitor. The same elevator that had carried him to the meeting room where his life had changed forever. It doesn't feel like a transformation, Marcus said thoughtfully. It feels like I finally became who I was supposed to be all along. Across the lobby, Rosa was setting up a display of photos showing all the children the foundation had helped over the past year. There were pictures of kids at basketball clinics, students receiving academic scholarships, and families attending mentorship events. Each photo told a story of someone discovering their own potential. Emma Chen, now in high school but still Marcus's best friend, approached with a notebook in her hand. "I've been interviewing people for the school newspaper," she said. "Can you believe that the shy kid I used to eat lunch with is now running foundation events?" "I'm not running anything," Marcus corrected with a grin. "I'm just helping. That's what this whole thing is about, helping each other." Sophia Martinez walked up to join their conversation. She was 13 now and had become one of the star players on her high school soccer team. More importantly, she had started her own program teaching soccer skills to younger children. "Marcus taught me something that changed my life," Sophia told Emma. "He taught me that being small doesn't mean being weak. It means being quick, smart, and determined. Now, I teach other kids the same thing." "See," Marcus said to Emma, "the foundation isn't about me. It's about all of us helping each other discover what we're capable of." Mike entered the lobby, and the room seemed to light up. Over the past year, he had become not just a mentor to Marcus, but a beloved figure to dozens of children and families. He was no longer just Michael Jordan, the basketball legend. He was Mike, the man who believed in kids when they couldn't believe in themselves. "How are we doing, Mr. Ambassador?" Mike asked Marcus, using the playful title he had given him. "Everyone's here," Marcus reported. "All 27 kids from our programs this year, plus their families. Carlos is here with his little sister. He wants to sign her up for next year's program." Mike nodded with satisfaction. Carlos had become one of their success stories. The shy, small boy from their first clinic had made his middle school basketball team and was now helping Marcus coach younger kids. "There's someone special I want you to meet," Mike said, gesturing toward a well-dressed woman who had just entered the lobby. "This is Dr. Angela Williams. She runs youth development programs for the city." Dr. Williams shook Marcus's hand warmly. "I've heard incredible things about your foundation's work. The city is interested in partnering with you to expand your programs to more communities." Marcus felt excitement and responsibility in equal measure. That would be amazing. There are so many kids who could benefit from what we do. "What exactly do you do?" Dr. Williams asked. "I mean, beyond basketball training." Marcus thought about how to explain it. "We help kids understand that their value doesn't come from being the biggest or the strongest or the most talented. We show them that greatness comes from heart, from working hard, from lifting others up." "And how do you show them that?" "By believing in them," Marcus said simply. "Sometimes that's all it takes. Someone believing in you when you can't believe in yourself." Dr. Williams looked impressed. "That's a profound understanding for someone your age." "I learned it from my father," Marcus said, "and from Mike. Now we're passing it on to others." As the event began, Marcus found himself standing where Mike had stood a year ago, in front of a group of children and families, sharing a message about potential and hope. "A year ago," Marcus began, "this foundation was just an idea that kids like us, kids who might feel too small or not good enough, deserve to have someone believe in them." He looked out at the faces in the crowd. Some were children who had been in their programs. Others were parents who had watched their kids transform. Still others were community members who had heard about their work and wanted to be part of it. The foundation is named after my father, Roberto Rivera. My dad was a janitor who worked at night so he could spend time with me during the day. He never played professional basketball, never won any championships, never appeared on TV. Marcus paused, looking at the photo of his father that Rosa had placed on the display table. But my father understood something that changed my life and continues to change the lives of every kid we work with. He understood that greatness isn't about being famous or winning trophies. Greatness is about the size of your heart and your willingness to help others discover their own greatness. A small hand went up in the crowd. It was a 6-year-old girl named Isabella who had just started in their program. "Yes, Isabella? How do you know if you have a big heart?" she asked in a tiny voice. Marcus knelt down so he was at her level, just as Mike had done with him so many times. "You have a big heart when you care about other people's feelings," Marcus said gently. "When you help someone who's sad feel better. When you share with someone who doesn't have as much as you do. When you cheer for your teammates, even when you're not the one scoring." Isabella nodded seriously, and Marcus could see understanding dawn in her eyes. "Everyone in this room has a big heart," Marcus continued, standing back up. "That's why you're here. That's why you care about helping kids discover their potential." Mike stepped forward to join Marcus. "I want to share something with everyone. 2 years ago, I met a scared 12-year-old boy in this very lobby. He was convinced he was too small to play the basketball, too weak to make his school team, not good enough to chase his dreams." Marcus felt his cheeks warm as Mike continued. "But that boy had something that can't be taught and can't be measured. He had heart. He had the courage to keep trying even when he was afraid. He had the kindness to help others, even when he was struggling himself." Mike put his hand on Marcus's shoulder. "That boy is now a young man who has helped 27 children discover their own potential this year. He's become a leader, a mentor, and living proof that Roberto Rivera was right. Everyone has greatness inside them." The crowd erupted in applause, but Marcus barely heard it. He was thinking about the journey that had brought him to this moment, from the scared boy in the lobby to the confident young man standing before a room full of people whose lives had been touched by his father's wisdom. After the formal presentation, Marcus found himself back in those same leather chairs where his story had begun. This time, he wasn't alone. Carlos, Sophia, Isabella, and several other children from their programs had gathered around him. "Tell us the story again," Carlos asked, "about how you met Mike." Marcus smiled. This had become a tradition. The kids loved hearing about his first encounter with Mike, about being mistaken for a janitor, about learning that heart mattered more than height. "It all started right here," Marcus began, settling into the familiar story. "I was sitting in this exact chair, holding a basketball tryout flyer, convinced I would never be good enough." As Marcus told the story, he noticed Mike and Rosa standing nearby, listening with smiles on their faces. Behind them, Patricia was taking photos, documenting this moment for the Foundation's archives. "And then, what happened?" Isabella prompted, when Marcus paused. "Then I learned the most important lesson of my life," Marcus continued. "I learned that being great isn't about being the best at something. It's about being better today than you were yesterday. It's about helping others discover their own greatness." "And now you're teaching us the same thing," Carlos said excitedly. "That's how it works," Marcus agreed. "Someone believed in me So now I believe in you. Someday, you'll believe in other kids who need someone to believe in them. As the evening wound down and families began to leave, Marcus found himself alone in the lobby with Mike and Rosa. Three of them sat in comfortable silence, watching the last few people exit through the same doors where this whole journey had begun. "Roberto would be so proud," Rosa said softly. "Not just of what you've accomplished, Marcus, but of who you've become. You've honored his memory in the most beautiful way possible." "We all have," Mike added. "This foundation, these kids we've helped, this community we've built, it's all a testament to Roberto's belief that everyone deserves to have someone believe in them." Marcus looked around the lobby one more time. "You know what's funny? 2 years ago, I thought my story was about making a basketball team, but it was never about basketball at all." "What was it about?" Rosa asked, though she already knew the EBUA answer. "It was about learning that when someone believes in you, it changes everything. Not just for you, but for everyone whose life you touch after that." Marcus stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city lights of Charlotte. Somewhere out there were children who felt too small, too weak, not good enough. Children who needed someone to believe in them. "Mike," Marcus said, turning back to his mentor and friend, "I think we're just getting started." Mike smiled, remembering Roberto's words from so many years ago. Everyone has greatness inside them. They just need someone to help bring it out. The Janitor's game had become so much more than anyone could have imagined. It had become a movement, a legacy, a living testament to the power of believing in others. And in a hotel lobby in Charlotte, North Carolina, where a scared boy had once sat clutching a basketball tryout flyer, Roberto Rivera's dream of helping others discover their greatness continued to grow, one heart at a time. The circle was complete, but it would never end, because true greatness isn't something you achieve, it's something you pass on. That's the incredible story of how one act of kindness changed everything. Michael Jordan didn't just handle being mistaken for a janitor with grace. He used it to honor a promise and transform a young boy's life forever. Roberto Rivera's wisdom that heart matters more than height continues to inspire children around the world through the foundation that bears his name. Sometimes the smallest acts of believing in someone can create the biggest changes. We'd love to know, where are you listening from today? Drop your city or country in the comments below. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that everyone deserves to have someone believe in them, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. When you subscribe, you're helping us spread more stories of kindness and hope to people who need them most. There's another amazing story waiting for you right now. Just click on the video appearing on your screen. It's about how one teacher's simple act changed a student's entire future. Remember, greatness isn't about being the best. It's about making others better. Go out there and be someone's reason to believe in themselves today.